Good day, class. You are welcome once again to GST 118 class, History and Philosophy of Science. Today we'll be looking at the impact of science and technology in the society and service to man. However, before moving into the lecture for today, I'd like to give a brief recap of the last class. In the last class, we discussed scientific methodology. In that class, we identified the branches of science. Then we identified great scientists that worked on scientific method. With the contribution of these scientists, we started by highlighting the contribution of Aristotle among others, and Aristotle was mentioned to be the father of science. I want you to note that is often regarded as the father of science. In the same lecture, we listed out steps involved in conducting scientific research. The steps were listed to include identifying a problem, or looking at the problem, picking a specific research topic, then forming your hypothesis. After forming your hypothesis, we said then you design your experiment. What is the experimental procedure? You lay out the plans which you will need to carry out the experiment. And I remember that in that class I was saying, while forming the hypothesis, you should make sure that the hypothesis formed is that which can be testable. It should be the hypothesis should be tested, it should be falsifiable, it should be testable. Then the variables involved in your research must be well taken care of. At, at the stage of planning your research, I mentioned you take note of how do you get your data, what is your population, how do you intend to get this data? How do you intend to draw out your sample from the said population? What is the control mechanism that you want to put in place in order to ensure that the experiment is okay? At the same time, we discussed about data gathering. I said you gather data before the experiment, and you record your data after the experiment. The next stage is data analysis, and at this stage I said you can either analyze your data descriptively or inferentially. I further describe what descriptive analysis involved and what inferential analysis involved. And finally, the last step is drawing conclusions from your findings and recording your findings. And I remember saying that even if your experiment does, peradventure after the experiment, you had to reject your hypothesis, that intelligent guess that you had at the beginning of the research does not mean that that scientific research is a waste. Rather, it will add to the volume of work available for further research. Today, we'll go a step further. In the last class, we described what science is. Then, why science? Is there any relevance? Does science have any relevance to us as a people, as a person? Is science beneficial to us? Is science beneficial to the society? Today, we'll be looking at the impact of science in the society, impact of science to man and his society. And we'll be merging the two chapters for this particular class, chapter 4 and chapter 5, the impact of science and technology in the society. How has science benefited us? Is science really beneficial to the society? We'll highlight this impact. We'll identify areas that science has been beneficial to us, and at the same time, we'll identify areas that we feel it has not been beneficial. While starting this class, I want us to know that the truth, science had been beneficial to us. We have positive and negative impact of science, because science and technology is like a coin. There are always two sides to a coin. While we have the positive impact, we also have the negative impact of science. And The first thing we'll be looking at, the first segment of this lecture, will be focusing on the positive impact of science to the society. How has science impacted the society positively? How has science impacted the livelihood of man positively in recent times? Starting this segment, we'll be talking about the impact of science and technology in agriculture. How has science helped us in agriculture? Before proceeding, I want you to take some time and look backward. Look at how the country, how the environment you are now, how it was some years back. How was this society run? How does this society run some years back, some 50, 40 years ago, without the improvement we've had with science and technology? How does life look like when you were not yet born? Why thinking about that? I want you to drop your comment. Okay, how do you think people, if there had been no electricity, if there had been no phones, how do you think your parents coped when they were your age? Coming back to the class, impact of science and technology in agriculture. I will say you should look back. In the olden days, when a person is a farmer, one thing that comes to mind is you want to see him with a hoe, with a cutlass. With such person tattered. But nowadays, science and technology has helped us in agriculture to the point that being a farmer is becoming is easier than it used to be. Aside from that, I want you to look at this slide. This is one of the impacts of science and technology in agriculture. You see the sprayer spraying pesticide. At this in this large farm, you don't have to carry any backpack, you don't have to weed yourself before you get your farm to be neat. At the same time, science and technology has helped in the improvement of yield, crop yield. What we now have nowadays are majorly improved seedlings. Science has helped to research into how we can make the seeds available to farmers to be more viable, to produce more than it used to produce in the olden days. If you look at the stalk of corn that I have here, you see you see that this one, and this stalk, you have just one cob of maize, and the one beside it, which is an improved yield, an improved breed, you see about three cobs of corn on just a single stalk. This is one of the impacts of science and technology. Researchers work day in, day out in order to look at how they can improve yield of crops. Similarly, the maturity age of so many crops have been shortened. Rather than having to wait for long years before most of these plants mature, you now have improved breed that mature easily. Take for instance coconut. In the olden days, when you plant coconut, our father has often said it is not the person that plants coconut that will eat the first fruit, because it takes a very long time before the coconut matures. But nowadays, within 3 years, if you plant coconut, you can begin harvesting. Moreover, in agriculture, most of these seeds, these plants, these fruits that you now have been improved such that only nutrients that are viable, nutrients that are beneficial to mankind are imbued into them. Take for instance, you now have cassava that are modified to have high concentration of vitamin A, thereby increasing their nutrient value rather than what we used to have before. Also, there is pest and diseases can easily be controlled nowadays rather than before, when there's a pest invasion, the fear of losing your profit is very high. But now, easily pests can be controlled, weeds can be controlled thanks to science and technology. More as again, the shelf life of most of these fruits have been improved upon. They can now last longer, especially fruits that are transported across countries. They now last longer than they used to in time past. What about livestock? Science and technology has also helped in bringing out, improving the yield of livestock. We now have livestock that are much more resistant to diseases, much more resistant to outbreaks that were not so before. Especially, let's take for example the yield of chicken broilers in the before. There's the slide I showed you earlier. You look at this picture. In 90, these are three different growth rates of chickens in the past. As at 1957, between the first day of hatching and 56 days, a a chicken will only mature to the point of 900 grams. However, nowadays, in the present day, from day old to 6 weeks, you can have as much as 4 kg weight of 4 kg carcass weight of for a full bred for a chicken as at 6 weeks. This is an improvement. It shows that if as at 56 days, then you can only have less than 1 kg. As at 42 days now, you have you have the same chicken giving us about 4 kg, which can feed more people than you can feed with the other. You won't even slaughter that at less than 1 kg. You will not feel convenient, you believe it's still small, whereas now with 4 kg conveniently you can feed a family. That's one of the improvements we've achieved, where science and technology has brought to us in the aspect of agriculture. What about enhancing the flavor of food? Where science has really helped us in that aspect of agriculture. What other thing has science done? What about business and banking? The whole before researches and improvements in science and technology, when you want to sell, you go to the market, you display your ware. Old traditional way of selling things here and there. You have, but then you take your money there, you buy, you bring it back home. That's when money came to be. I'm not talking about when we have trade by barter and the likes, but after with improvements in science and technology, you now have cashless economy. You can stay in the comfort of your home and do transactions. I can stay in the comfort of my home and buy things outside my country, thanks to science and technology. Now virtually everybody goes about with ATM card, because science and technology is at play. You can now make your purchase without carrying cash all around. Your money is safe. With your card, you buy you can buy anything. You now have mobile transfer, just in the corner of your home. You transfer from whatsoever you're buying. This is made possible thanks to science and technology. Science open doors for people to enter into the new world, which is fully developed and well civilized. I can relate with people now outside my domain, thanks to science and technology. There is online banking. You can pay your bills. You don't need to get to the bank before you pay your tuition fee now. In the comfort of your home, you can pay your bills. Prior to this, it wasn't so. You have to go with your cash. Previously, you go with your cash to the bursar, you pay, bursary staff, you pay. Later, you take your cash to the bank, you pay into the account. But now you don't even have to touch the cash. You just move your cash from your own account to the school account or to the biller's account. Thanks to science and technology, you can now pay your school fees without queuing. Or what other thing has science and technology done? What of electricity? I was asking you to look back the other time that how would life have been without so many things that you now have? Talk about electricity. Imagine where you are now if you don't have electricity, say for like 3 months. How would it look like? Now, if you can imagine how it would look like now, I want you to cast your mind back to when there was no electricity, when the only light you have is the sun. I know you understand what it would have been, because without electricity, most of the things you now have today would not have been. You have your laptop functioning, you have your phone, you can charge your phone. We have large factories, we have firms manufacturing equipment using the same electricity. Thanks to science and technology, the world can now develop as at a faster rate. At the same time, our science and technology helped us. What about food processing? Initially, when there are when a farmer plants, when there was no improvement in agriculture, when there was no improvement in food processing sector, once you harvest, these goods perish within a limited fraction of a period of time. However, with the advent of science and technology, you can now process your goods, you can process some of these things and they won't get wasted. Take for example, tomatoes has a limited shelf life, but with research and scientific research, improvement in science, improvement in technology, you can now convert these tomatoes to tomato paste, which can last longer. When there is no fresh tomatoes, you can pick that up and use. What about what about your freezer? If you are the type that feel okay, I don't use tomato paste, what of your fridge and freezer? You can now store your goods. You can store your perishables inside your fridge. You can store your perishables inside your freezer, and these things will remain good. Wouldn't have lost any value because science and technology is there. Moreover, now we have potable water, water that are clean, water that is clean, water that is sterilized, water that is good for your health. Prior to this, the advent of science and technology, most people get water from rivers, especially in the third world country. You have to go to rivers to fetch your water, but now you have pipe-borne water, healthy water, drinkable water, thereby reducing food infection, reducing poisoning. So many things science has really helped us. Science has helped in this regard. What about medicine? How has science and technology impacted the society? Let's talk about medicine. Science and technology has so much help in the area of medicine to the point that you now have reduced maternal and neonatal deaths. Things that naturally do not exist before, you now see them existing. For instance, in the third world country, previously you have mothers losing their babies unnecessarily, thanks to thanks to poor health facility. But now you have facilities to take care of these children. There's reduced mortality. The mothers don't die as such due to pregnancy related complications. Thanks to science and technology, a woman can now safely give birth to a child without complication or with reduced complication. Whatever So many congenital diseases that often take the life of young children before can now easily be taken care of thanks to science and technology. What about development of vaccines? So many deadly diseases have been eradicated thanks to science and technology. You now have vaccine that takes care of these SY deadly diseases. Talk about measles, smallpox, chickenpox. There are now vaccine that mitigate the effect of these diseases. What about poliomyelitis? Before, when you see people suffering from who have been affected by polio, at least among us, but nowadays it's now very rare before you see a child that is being affected by polio, thanks to science and technology. I want you to cast your mind back to 2020, when we all had to be at home due to COVID outbreak, COVID-19 precisely. If science and technology had not been in place, probably we'll still be home, and so many lives, aside from at least in multiples of what was lost then, might have been lost. But thanks to science and technology and to researchers, scientific researchers that worked day and night in order to provide vaccines against this disease. And here we are today, everything is back to normal. Everybody can now walk around thanks to improvement in science and technology. What about SY strange diseases, occurrences that most of the times in the third world war are deemed to be spiritual attack, now has explanation thanks to science and technology. Not only do they have explanation, some of them even have treatment, and you now have greater life expectancy thanks to science and technology. Life expectancy is now better. Life expectancy of both the old and the young has improved drastically from what it used to be in the time past. What else has science done for us? What about education? In the aspect of education, you can listen to me today because science and technology has helped us. You are in the comfort of your home, and you can still enjoy your lecture. You don't the tradition It's no longer the traditional chalk and talk method. It's no longer necessary that you see me face to face before this lecture can go on, thanks to science and technology. Previously, those who had that education before you must be within the university environment in order to receive a lecture. But here you are in the comfort of your father's house, enjoying your lecture thanks to science and technology. We now have e-learning, we have e-books. You can go online, you can make the researches. What about library facility? Most you now have online library. You don't have to go to the physical library in order to get documents. Even there are some online libraries that have more resources than what the physical library that you have can ever have access to, thanks to science and technology. What about telecommunication? We're talking about, as I was saying, how does life look like when science and technology had not evolved up to this time? Have you ever, if I should take away your phone today and probably hold on to it for like three 4 weeks, how would you feel? Like, it will look as if you are incomplete, because lives now revolves around your phone. Communication has become easier than it used to be. Before, there was wired telephones. In your generation now, there is improvement. You don't even need wired telephone. You can now go about with your wireless phone. While we were growing up, all we had, what was available, were wired telephone, available with for those that are rich. For those that are rich, if you have a friend who has telephone, that's the number you give to everybody, and then if you know when they want to call you, go and hang around. You go there, I'm expecting a call, please. When the call comes, let me know. What I tell you, but nowadays, anywhere you go, you can easily communicate with everybody. What about messaging? You can now chat conveniently. Email, you send email messages conveniently thanks to science and technology. Paperless meetings can now hold because you have science and technology. You can communicate without printing out documents. What about the aspect of transportation, travel and tourism? We now in the olden days, people walk around, people move from one place to the another by trekking. But now you have different means of transportation. You have your car, you have a ship, you have airliners, major airliners. You can travel from one point to the other within the shortest period of time. Journeys that should take 3 months, 2 months, now take less than, and most of them less than 2 hours, less than an hour, thanks to science and technology. What about tourism? The advent of science and technology has opened so many opportunities as regards to the area of tourism, because you can now look at play places of interest via your phone, book your flight, book your trip, and go there to enjoy yourself. Wow, it has also reduced science and technology has also reduced the stress occasioned by distress occasioned by lack of means of transportation of goods and services. Easily now you can transport goods and services across borders, across states, across towns, across nations, thanks to science and technology. Businesses are booming, trades are opening here and there based on science and technology. What else has science done? What about ultra high frequency? You can easily stay at home, you can watch TV, you can listen to music, thanks to science and technology. What about weapon? This issue of weapon most of the time is viewed in two dimensions. Weapons necessary, yes, for the keeping of order in the society. Science has helped us produce weapons that can ensure that there is order, there is decorum in the society. What about weather forecast? Science has helped in this regard. We now have meteorological facility that can forecast weather, the type of weather that we have, what would happen in the next few hours, how sunny will it be rainy, will it be windy. You can know what you have in store as regards to weather, thanks to science and technology. And for areas where they are prone to natural disaster, the government can make adequate preparation to preserve the life and properties of its citizens, thanks to science and technology. But with all this, we know science and technology is good. It has impacted our life, but it should ask you, there are things that I've not said that science had really done. You know that if there had been no technology, this wouldn't have happened. Would you now say it's all good, science and technology is all good? No, because most of the time, as I said earlier at the beginning of this class, I said science and technology, the impact is a two-way thing. We have is just like a coin, which is always two-sided. When you have a positive impact and you have the negative impact of science and technology. Having highlighted the positive impact of science and technology, I would now like us to talk briefly on the negative impact of science and technology in the society. I will start with the issue of unemployment and dissatisfaction. When I started with the impact of science and technology in agriculture. I forgot to mention industrialization. Most of these things, work that were done by human beings before. You now have robots, you have AI, artificial intelligence taking over, you have tractors now working on your farm, you have harvesters, you have planters. Before, when you have a large farm, that means if you have a very large farm, you can employ so many people to work on that farm. But now, if I have a large farm, I may not need to employ so many people if I have the capacity to go into mechanized farming. Therefore, I've cut off the uh, opportunity, the employment opportunity of some people. Similarly, in the offices, rather than having messenger taking memo all around. I can sit in the comfort of my office and send memo on my system to anybody within my organization without needing someone to take it there physically, therefore reducing employment opportunity for some particular class of people. Or having done this, this rate of unemployment often cause dissatisfaction among people, especially in the developing country where there is really no plan for those who are out of job. Even outside in the developed country where there is a plan for those who are unemployed, there is this satisfaction that comes with working with your hand. There's this satisfaction that comes with making money yourself. When people are unemployed, this ecstasy of accomplishment is not there. Therefore, you see so many people dissatisfied, so many people having emotional problem and like. What about social isolation? This is more common nowadays, especially with the advent of mobile phone, internet facility. You see people become more and more withdrawn. There is no more social gathering. You do virtually everything in the corner of your home. I was saying you don't even need to go and visit your friend because you can pick up your phone and call. Hello, how are you doing? And if you're not even calling, it seems calling is picking up your phone and dialing number now is even going out of vogue because most of you now use chat. Hi, how you doing? There's It's possible for you not to even hear each other's voice in the space of a month, 3 weeks, if it's not extremely necessary, because you can chat. There are so many chatting apps, there are instant messaging app that you can use to speak to people. This is not good because most man was created to relate with his or her environment, to relate with people around. You can be in your home now and not know your next door neighbor. It wasn't so in time past. People know each other. They know who lives beside them. While we're much younger, we know our neighbors. We know those we relate with. We know those that live just beside us. You know those that live in your vicinity. But nowadays, you don't even know your next door neighbor, not to talk of those living in your vicinity. Thanks to science and technology, everybody, it's now every man to his own device. What about mental relapse of recent? Because you now have phones, you have gadgets that can work for you. Native capacity are becoming redundant. Your ability to do things are becoming reduced. The native intelligence is going out of vogue. You don't Things that you expect that okay at this stage so and so should be able to do this is no longer there. Take for instance, in this class now, should I give you a simple arithmetic sum? Can you do this for me? Before I know it, the next thing you would do is to pick your calculator. You doing things using your mental capacity has become so reduced to that point. What about having people's contacts? And if I should call any one of you now to give me your parents' phone number, give me your brother's or your sister's phone number, if you are able to give me two, you are still good. Most people will need to check their phone to give me such contact. Is that bad? What about the effects of science and technology on health? Yes, the other time we were saying there is improved health, there is improved medical care, there is improvement, there is longevity of life expectancy has been increased. At the same time, the advent of science and technology has also jeopardized the health of some people. You now have obese youth here and there, people due to junk eating, going to restaurants to eat, going eating junks here and there, which was not so before. no healthy meals. Most people are now given to canned food, canned drinks, have compounding their health, compounding health issues, hereditary issues that should have been managed effectively if peradventure they are eating healthy are being blown out of proportion. What about carcinogen or carcinogenic pollution around us? You now have people having cancers, you have people having lungs problem, you have people having leukemia, thanks to science and technology. What about depression? It's also an health problem thanks to science and technology. The other time I talked about social isolation. People are now depressed more than more more than it used to be, because there's no social interaction. Things that you would have gone through before and probably discuss with people that this is what I'm going through. Can you help? Even joking around at times would have taken some burdens off your heart. But nowadays you are in your house chatting with people you don't even know. You can't bear your minds, therefore depression sets in. Moreover, the issue of unemployment can also cause depression. So many things revolves around this to bring the health of people into questioning. What about uh, pollution? If you look at this picture, if there had been no technology, there's no industrialization, do you think this kind of smoke would be emitted into the atmosphere? I know most of the time you must have been seeing environmentalists proposing plant trees, don't destroy the environment, don't do this. Science and technology has not helped in that regard. You must have heard about ozone layer depletion. Thanks to science and technology, we now have the ultraviolet rays of the sun biting harder than it used to be in the olden days, because as we are developing, we are destroying things around us. As we are developing, we are destroying natural resources that we've been given. What about globalization? Globalization is also a two-way thing. I was saying the other time that I can stay in the comfort of my home and order goods from other country. That's part of globalization. However, these barriers that are broken has also opened up so many negative effects, things that don't trend, things that are not morally acceptable in one climb has crept into the society because of globalization. Things that would not have been acceptable, would not have happened in a given society, now happen because it is accepted in another society. Globalization. What about the lack of privacy? The advent of the internet, especially the social media, has made it very difficult to keep your privacy. Once you log in online, once you have a laptop, once you have a phone, you no longer have privacy. You may be you when there are sites that you have, they will say your privacy is this. It's all a lie. If anyone wants to access your private data, it takes them to have an ulterior motive to hack into your system, to hack into your phone, to hack into your bank accounts. Talk about it. Thanks to science and technology. Now you left apart from even people having ulterior motive, you now go around, you tweet, there's Instagram, this is where I'm Insta blogging, I'm here now, I'm this on social media. I just finished eating. I just ate a complete course. I just did this. No secrecy whatsoever. What about addiction? So many addiction so many of you now are addicted to your phone, or you're addicted to social media. Time that you would have used profitably is now used online. You use it to catch cruise online rather than reading. You at times overuse you use your phone on net without break, affecting your eyesight. Going back to the health challenge occasioned by lack of by science and technology. What about moral decadence? Spiritual, religious, moral degradation, you have decadence here and there, you have things especially among you youths, you have things that are not supposed to be heard of now, especially you have fraudsters here and there, fraudulent activities, things that are not accepted. In the past, if you should take something that doesn't belong to you, at least for the next 1 year, people will still be saying that guy is a thief. But nowadays, you wonder, is it that the moral level in the society is at an all-time low just because of the advent of science and technology. You sit in the corner of your home and commit grievous offences, grievous crime, passing nudity around. Thanks to science and technology, so many scandals here and there, that things that are not supposed even to be heard of, all because we have we have developed, the society is developing, things are changing in the negative direction when it comes to morals. When it you see things that should not have happened. Things that in the past would have been soiling your name, soiling the name of your family, soiling the name of the country, is now done without remorse. People now bragging, I'm into Yahoo, I'm into this. No, I'm hoping I'm hoping that you in this class will not be one of those that will use technology negatively to impact the society. You will not be among those that will use technology to destroy the name of your family, to destroy your name. It's not supposed to. As youth, at the beginning of this class, I was saying there's a religious perspective, there is a spiritual, there is a scientific perspective. Speaking from the religious perspective now, I would want you to remember the teachings of your parents, the teachings of your teachers, the teachings of your spiritual leaders, and uphold morals. Do not be one of those that will enhance the negative effects of technology within the society. Be an ember of hope to your parents, be an ember of hope for the society. Do not let the development occasioned by science and technology to change the morals of our fathers. Be an ambassador of hope, please. And I pray you will be helped. What about the change in the concept of death? Science and technology has not helped in that regard. You have plane crash, things. What about uh, production of weapons of mass destruction? Life is no longer as people don't hold the life in esteem as it used to be, thanks to science and technology. I wonder why people will now will just think about, okay, let's create a weapon of mass destruction that can destroy as many as millions of people at a time, thanks to science and technology. However, it is not all bleak if and only if we use it to the furtherance of the good of mankind. Science is good, but there's always two sides to a coin. It is a two-edged sword. Hence, the need for moderation. You need to be moderate. Even the use of your phone, the use of social media, the use of technology, in every aspect of it, you have to be moderate. Use everything with moderation, and thereby you maximize the positive impact and minimize to the barest minimum the negative effect science and technology would have within the society. And this has brought us to the end of this lecture. If you have any question, kindly drop them in the you can drop it in the comment section. At the same time, you can also drop your question in the class group. God bless you.